Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the VIP room. It's been a while, but I've dusted down the tables and I've cleaned the glasses. I'd like to welcome back a old friend, a good friend, the man, the myth, the senpai, Midnight Scribe, aka Kyle McColl. Welcome back, Kyle.
Oh, thanks for having me back, mate. It's great to be back here in the VIP lounge.
It's great to have you back. I do believe you were my first visitor in the VIP room.
Yeah, we're going back a fair bit. It must have been about what 2 years thereabouts.
Three actually, because we did it back in middle of 2016. So actually,
Oh,
I think
good
we did it
lord!
in July 2016.
For your anniversary, I did say I'd come back.
Ah, it's good to have you back. For those of you who have not watched the original interview or are unfamiliar with the good Sir Kyle McColl, he is a writer and a YouTuber who does a similar series of interview videos for the Brony fandom called Midnight Scribe's Creative Vibes, which I believe is still going with its third or fourth season.
Oh, further than that, now we're in our fifth season. We
Uh,
have hit syndication.
that just shows how behind I've fallen with the show. I love the show. I've just, with so much to keep up on, I've just fallen behind on it so badly.
Oh, don't worry. I know about the horrors of the YouTube notifications, so I completely understand. I've got like about 200 videos in my subscribed list that I still need to go back on, and don't even go any further than the previous month because it just turns into an absolute nightmare dystopia beyond that.
Oh yes, my personal watch list is a backlog of about 800 something videos going as far back as 2016, I think, for some of them, before I started clearing them out about a month ago.
So how much did you reckon you've whittled it down to? Like how many videos are actually left?
I'm hoping less than 800, but there's probably still more than 700.
Oh well, at least you're going to be busy for play. You're not going to be lacking any content to watch for the next wee while.
Ah, yes, I've got plenty to look forward to with the Creative Vibes series as well. Speaking of YouTube videos, though, you did start your own series. I've totally forgotten the name of it off the top of my head because it's been a short while since your last one came out about hits or misses from the music, like the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, well, oh god, we're going back about 2 years now. I started as a bit of an idea a show called Flippity Flopped, which was it was the idea being of looking at songs that never quite became hits, and looking a bit into the bands and the songs, and and then at the end, basically kind of going, well, you know what, is this actually worth going into? Like, is this song should it have been a hit? Should it have actually had that opportunity? And it was very I had a friend say to me that is very Todd in the Shadows One Hit Wonderland esque, and I went, yeah, that's kind of what I was aiming for, because I love Todd in the Shadows, and I think the One Hit Wonderland show is a great example of just diving into bands that have only one big hit, and most people only know that. And then they don't know anything about the rest of the band and all the other stuff they did and wherever they were. There's all sorts of other cool stuff going on there beyond that one song. Whereas for me, what I kind of wanted to do is, because I listen to so much music, and particularly I listen to a lot of music that didn't end up becoming hits, for whatever reason. I always find that quite interesting in terms of like, well, why didn't this song catch on? Like, to me, it seems interesting, or it has something about it that to me seems like this could have been a hit. Why wasn't it? And it was quite fun to kind of dive into that and actually go, well, here's something forgotten that no one's thought about, but you should definitely check out.
Yes, it was quite a very interesting series. Some songs I was like, I've never heard of this before, but I'm kind of wondering why I hadn't. I do believe you did do another Proclaimers song as one of the videos.
I've never actually covered the Proclaimers. The Proclaimers, I mean, they definitely have plenty of options. Like, off the top of my head, Sunshine on Leaf, I would say for the Proclaimers is a good example of a song that wasn't technically a hit. But in Scotland, that song is hugely well known. So it's that thing of like, what is a hit? Is a song a hit single because it's high in the charts? Is it cultural relevance? Hit is a bit of a loose term. It can kind of come in different forms and shapes and sizes.
Well, I think that's your next song for your next video set, because I've never heard of that song.
Oh, it's a good wee song. I mean, the Proclaimers are a great wee band. Great Scottish folk music, lots of sing along songs, and I mean, it'd be nice to go back to Flippity Flopped at some point because it's I did that idea for a wee while, and then just as usual, life and things got in the way, and particularly because I was working on moving out with my partner, so that was a thing that was happening, changing jobs 2 or 3 times, traveling the world a fair bit. I've been to America. I finally experienced London for the first time. And I've done a few other wee trips since then as well, gone to the Netherlands. So that's kind of distracted me a bit from that project. But then what I ended up deciding to do was to try a different sort of project, semi-related to what I was doing already, called Forgotten Records. And that's what I've been slowly trying to focus on my channel, which is similar sort of idea, but basically it's looking at basically forgotten albums that have, that are, once again, that I think are deserving of another look. So, any kind of quirky, unusual, underappreciated albums I usually try and feature on there. And I suppose the difference between this and Flippity Flopped is, one of the things that I realized I wasn't doing well with in Flippity Flopped was that the format kind of boils down to the point of going, is this song good or not? Or, should it be a hit or not? Whereas actually what I wanted to do was just go, hey, here's some really cool stuff that you should definitely check out. So in a way, the new show is kind of a retool of the old one, in the sense that it is now just purely about this record and about this artist and why there is something about a particular album that is worth your time.
Ah, yes. I don't think I've seen the last few of those, but now I'm very aware of why I couldn't remember the name, because the show, you changed the format in the show, and it kind of threw me off originally. I remember that. Going, wait, where's Flippity Flop? What's this new fandangled thing?
Yeah, I kind of Flippity Flopped kind of disappeared into the ether a bit without much fanfare, which is one of those things, sometimes when you're coming up with an idea or you're trying out something, the way that you're going about it isn't necessarily the right way. And I think that's kind of the way I felt with Flippity Flopped. I liked the idea and I felt I was pushing in the right direction, but I wasn't quite there. And I think now with the new format, it's something a bit closer to what I'm aiming for, in terms of, here's a show that is exclusively about albums and artists that I find genuinely interesting, and that I hope, touch wood, if I do it right, I can convince the people watching to at least give a bit of a listen to and see if they can actually find something in it that I've discovered as well.
Ah, yes. I need to dig up and sit down and watch your last, because I believe you had a video out not too long ago, only a couple months. It's in my watch list. It's buried deep in the watch list. I feel really bad now as the host of this interview, and I haven't seen one of your videos in quite a while.
Oh, listen, don't worry about it. It's not like you're obligated to watch these things anyway, but it's by the time you get around to watching it, I might have another episode out, because I've got one that I'm slowly working on over there and on my Apple Mac that I just need to get on with actually writing and recording. So I know the album and the artist I'm going to cover, and I know what my angle is, I know what my hook is. But I just need to actually sit down and actually focus on writing it and getting it all together. But yeah, just as usual, a few things in life have been keeping me busy. Obviously doing Creative Vibes has been one thing, but also, once again, contracts ending at work, got to find more work, got going to BronyCon in July, so that's a thing. Relationship stuff has been happening, which is great. So it's just, as usual, there's I'm getting pulled in about 20 different directions. There's only so much of me to go around at any given point.
Yeah, I know how that feels so much, with the exception of the relationship parts, obviously.
Oh, hey, listen, you never know. You never know what will happen.
You never know, but I've got a fairly good guess. Which reminds me of something that, it doesn't remind me, I just remembered it just for a moment ago. You went to, was it Hearthwarming Con over in the Netherlands?
Yeah, I did. The first time I went was a couple months before we did our first interview, and then in 2018 when the con was back on, I went back again.
Yes, I recall you going. I saw all the pictures and all the vlogs for it. Was it there or somewhere else? I'm for some reason my memory's saying it was at that con last year, but I believe you had a revival of an old idea, the Brony House, at some point.
Yeah, well, Hearthstone Con, that was in 2018, so that was I was there in February, and I did do a fair few pictures and little videos and whatnot. Not as many as I would have liked, because I actually ended up deciding that socializing was the thing I wanted to do, which was obviously fantastic. It was great seeing friends from around Europe all coming together again, and I really enjoyed the con itself. I thought I had a blast there. And I'm not in any way biased because my partner's on the committee in any way, shape, or form and was responsible for tickets in any way. That's just a complete coincidence.
Ah, yes. But yeah, the Brony House was an old project I recall you wanted to start in 2016 that fell through, of which I don't know if you want to talk about that at all. I know the details of that to an extent, as one of the original guests that never got to be on the show. But if I'm not mistaken, the Brony House got restarted either last year or early this year. Pretty sure it was last year. With fellow former YouTuber Lucky Knight.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely correct, and we do need to get you on the show. Like, we just need to make that happen. And I was speaking with Lucky Knight only the other day because little spoiler, people, but Lucky Knight is actually coming back on Creative Vibes for the 5th season. I've actually recorded an episode with him about 5 days ago. So that is a thing that's happening, which is great. But yeah, Brony House, that was a project that I came up with in 2016. The idea of just coming up with a sort of My Little Pony themed game show. And not like in terms of necessarily being a quiz, but just having lots of different fun rounds, with the idea being that, you'd have special guests on and it would end up with items being added to a sort of fictional brony house where we would all live, and it'd be kind of, it's like a sort of fun, daft idea I had, and I was getting that idea going back in 2016, and then for various reasons, the idea just fell apart. Once again, partially down to life circumstances. There were also issues with one of the hosts and certain things that happened there, which I'm not going to go into because, frankly, I don't want to give the guy the airtime in any way, shape, or form. But that was something that happened, and that idea just kind of ended up in a drawer, and I didn't think much about it. But then at the tail end of 2017, I think it was, or beginning of 2018, Lucky Knight got in touch with me, and we were just having one of our usual catch-ups, and he'd said that because he'd finished I'm Brony and I'm Proud, which is his podcast, that was his big show where he was interviewing various bronies to try and learn about, exactly what is a brony and, and about the community. And he contacted me and he was basically going, I still remember you had this idea and I really want to push forward with this and see what we can do, because in 3 months there's an online convention called HaCon, which is what's it called? What does HAH mean? Horses after...
It was Horses at Home.
Horses at Home, that's it. I knew it was something related to horses, which makes entire sense. But Horses at Home Con, yeah. So he said, well, look, in 2018 in March, it's going to be on. I reckon we should put Brony House forward for it. And, I'll do the technical stuff and, I could do the host and you could be one of the main panelists and we'll kind of do it this way. And he really pushed forward with this idea. So, and it became like really collaborative as he started coming up with ideas for how he wanted the show to develop. And we ended up getting a third person in, a fantastic guy called Gabriel, who's an art critic. It's sadly not in the fandom anymore, but really, really lovely guy. And the three of us ended up doing it at HalCon with another special guest or two, and it went down really well. The audience really enjoyed it. We got a lot of viewers, a lot of positive comments. There was a nice vibe about it, and we just kind of went, wow, okay, this works, right? Why don't we do a few more of these? So we did 2 episodes afterwards, I believe, on YouTube, and we have plans for more. Once again, life is a massive barrier, massive but we're getting there. We're going to hopefully get some more. But actually, Brony House has still been going on in its own way. Lucky Knight did it at Alcon in 2018 in Australia for the first Australian My Little Pony convention for that section there, so that was fantastic. I did it at Brony Scott in Scotland in 2018 as well. So the Brony House has still been going on, just in live versions as well, as apart from the pre-records.
Yeah, I believe I caught the tail end of Lucky's Brony House panel at Alicon because I was there. I kept bugging the man. Anytime he had time off stage and I caught him, it was just, give me a hug, you big lug. And that's something I've been meaning to ask him, if he's going to do it again for Alicon this year, which is actually only in a couple months' time. I know that he and I will both be there.
Well, I know from what he said to me when I was chatting with him for Creative Vibes that he was talking about how he isn't going to be the MC this year. I think he wants to take a step back because it was just way too much that he was doing. But in terms of Brony House, I'd be curious to see whether he does do it again. I mean, certainly I'd be delighted to see it happen again. Although, having said that, I'm a little bit miffed at Lucky Knight because this guy decided to make Brony House merchandise and I have none of it. He's got Brony House caps. I wasn't told about this. I don't have one. I wanted my cap.
That's it, Lucky Knight. I know you're listening. You heard it. You have to send this great man a cup and
Send
other
me a
merch.
cup. Send me all the
T-shirts.
merch. I want to see this. I want to see this cup. I want to have that cup because I need an office mug anyways, and I might as well have that. And I want to, I want to have a mug with like our show on it, just so I can say that's a thing that's happened. Because once you're on a mug, you've made it.
Oh, well, that's a goal for me then. Get my face slapped on the side of someone's coffee mug. That should be fun.
Oh, listen, and every time they drink a nice hot coffee, they'll be thinking of you.
Ah, yes. They'll be miserable from point A to point B. It'll be fantastic. Now, I believe we've covered the Brony House, we've covered your personal music-themed shows, we've covered the age-old creative vibes. I believe the only thing left to mention is something that was only a work in progress back when we did our first interview, which is your novel, your detective novel, which, if I understand, is complete.
Yeah, it is. Dan is hanging around on my my hard drive, and I think on a USB stick. Currently gathering dust, but it is complete. I managed to make it to the end, and I redrafted it, and got it into like a form that I was happy with, or as happy as a writer can get before you just have to go, right, you have to stop, because you're never completely satisfied. You think you're satisfied, and then 5 minutes later you'll go, wait a second, I need to rewrite that line, and that's going to change half a chapter later on, then I've got to change this subplot. Like, there was a point where I just had to put a lid in it and go, right, that's it. End it there. But yeah, no, the novel is all done. I just haven't decided what to do with it. I've done a bit of submission to agents to try and see if I could get interest there. Sadly, had no luck there, but that's not surprising. I still have a long way to go as a writer. So, it could be that, maybe not this novel, maybe it'll be another one, maybe it'll be a different project entirely, or maybe not. Who knows what will happen. But the fact is, I really enjoyed writing it, and I'm back again writing on a new project now as well. So it's I'm beginning to get my writing mojo back again, I'm glad to say.
Well, that's good to hear. One of us has to be able to be a writer, and it might as well be the one who actually writes well.
And I wouldn't say I necessarily write that well. Writing is one of those things that there's very little outright bad writing. There could be bad stories, there can be bad ways of telling it, and bad ways of going about it. But writing, it's like art. It's like any other kind of creative venture. It's the hours you put in. It's the drive that you get out of it. And it depends on what you're looking out for it as well. Like, are you writing for personal gain? Are you writing because you want to try out a new idea? Are you writing for success, fame, whatever it is? I don't think you're a bad writer. I think it's just you don't write much, and you just need to have a bit more faith in what it is you do and try and find that hook, that thing that makes you go, this is something that's going to make me sit down at a keyboard and write 1,000 words without even thinking about it. It's that moment where you kind of find that bit of energy that only comes when you've got a really interesting idea that drives you beyond anything else. That will get you going like any energy drink or any high you can get.
Wise words like that is why you're the senpai.
Listen, if I was a proper senpai, I'd be writing more and doing like motivational speeches more often. I don't do that. For a senpai of writing, I don't write that much, or certainly not recently anyways. Like I said, after I finished the novel, I really kind of took a step back in terms of creative projects. I was still doing Creative Vibes, that was still going on, but in terms of like pure writing, I definitely kind of just stopped for a while. I kind of thought, well, that's the novel done. That's my thing for just now. But luckily, I've got a new project to work on. I've got a radio play that I'm developing with Sugar Dove, and I'm trying to get that in the can. So it's I'm looking forward to seeing how that idea turns out, because I'm hoping, touch wood, if we can get a couple of episodes together and get the right voice actors, we'll be able to put it onto local community radio here in Scotland. So touch wood, we might actually be able to get the show out on the air. So you never know.
I hope so. That sounds pretty damn awesome. I believe you said once before that you did that sort of thing in the past, community radio shows.
Yeah, I mean, that's I've done 3 different shows for community radios here in Scotland, and it's definitely it's really fun to do them. Once again, because of the fact that it's a completely different medium from writing a book or writing short stories or a script. Ultimately, it's got an audio factor to it. It's got to be on radio, so there's certain the time frame of things and how you phrase certain jokes and what you can get away with and so on. It's all a little bit different. So it's very good fun to actually come up with radio play concepts and try and figure out what you could potentially do with an idea and how you can execute it with what you've got, bearing in mind that there's no budget for any of these. So, you're just kind of stuck with yourself and maybe, if you're lucky, one or two other people who can do lines, which is, by the way, one of the godsends of the last few years of doing Creative Vibes, is that suddenly I know people who are creative who also know other creative people. And suddenly it's like, wait a second, I can now go, hang on, I need a voice actor, or I need a bit of music, or I need, something done. Can someone help me here? And there'll be someone there that I can actually work with to try and come up with an idea and to develop it a bit further. So it's been great, particularly working on this radio play that I'm developing at the moment, because a fair few people in the local, when I say local, I mean kind of friends, people that I've become friends with through the community outwards. I've gotten a few folk involved in doing lines for this radio play, and I'm hoping to get a few other voice actors in as well. And just the spark's there, and it's like I said, it's really good fun actually doing radio plays.
Well, I look forward to it. I mean, I'm not in Scotland, so I don't exactly have access to the community radio, but I hope that at some point the radio play gets archived or put to YouTube so the rest of us can enjoy it as well.
Well, what I suspect will happen is if things go the way that I hope they go, because, touch wood, what we'd end up doing is, because High on Bronies, for example, on YouTube, we're no longer High on Bronies. We've actually rebranded. We're now Creative Vibe Studios. And part of our goal with Creative Vibes itself, but also with our other content, is that we're slowly going to kind of soft reboot and basically, cover more generic kind of cartoon, anime, geekery kind of stuff, and go out that ways. And certainly when we do the radio play, once we get those episodes in the can, what we'll probably do is they'll air on community radio first, and then after they've aired, we'll put them onto our YouTube channel as well. And so that way, if anyone who is not in the area or who doesn't have access to the website or isn't able to listen at the time can then actually follow up on the episode as well.
That sounds awesome, especially the whole thing about rebranding Highland Bronies to Creative Vibe Studios and branching out, because it seems a lot of places, a lot of channels have started doing that out of the fandom. Like Saberspark started doing that a while ago, going from ponies to cartoons in a general sense, and I can't wait to see what you guys actually make out of that.
Well, it's that thing that, for because we're at the twilight years of the Brony fandom. I don't think it'll ever die. I think the community has been too big and too influential for it to really wither away as such, but it is on the downturn. It is going to get a bit smaller, which is to be expected. And it's not an unsmart move to kind of go, right, well, there's other content that we can create, whether you're looking at that in terms of being pragmatic, in terms of viewership dwindling, or you want to get a bigger audience or something like that, or whether you're just a creator who's been doing pony stuff for ages and you want to diversify out. It's a good time for doing it. I think it would be fair to say.
It is definitely a smart move. A move that I basically walked straight into from the get-go. Originally, I did have a sort of intent to do more pony stuff, and then I did 2 videos and decided, actually, no, I'm going to drop that. I'm going to drop it hard and just do anything I want.
Well, that's the way to go about it, because it's that thing that, if you don't enjoy the stuff you're making, it will end up showing in some way, shape, or form. I mean, unless you have an absolutely brilliant poker face or poker voice, the audience, they aren't fools. They can tell if you don't enjoy what you're doing or if you don't find something particularly interesting. And, unless you're extremely savvy and able to hide that, or have an extremely good editor who could hide that, it's, the lack of authentic passion for what you're doing does immediately come through. So it's always important to be actually following what you want to go for.
Very true. We're coming up on our time, so I'll quickly ask, aside from obviously the radio play that you've mentioned and the branching out of the YouTube channel, are there any other notable plans that you can tell us about at the moment?
Ooh, like in terms of creative plans, what do we have apart from that? I'm not entirely sure whatever creative things we got at the moment. I mean, right now I'm in the middle of recording season 5 of Creative Vibes, so that's kind of my main creative priority at the moment, trying to get that in the can. So I've actually done 2 episodes this week. And part of the plan for the new season, just because, we've been around since the middle of 2015, we're now heading towards summer 2019, 4 years, 5 seasons. It seems like a good point to kind of look back on the earlier seasons as well, particularly since over 4 years, a lot has changed, both in the fandom and outside. So what I'm working on is a series of episodes for the new season where I'm going to be interviewing a guest from each of the previous 4 seasons to just get a bit of an idea in terms of like what have they been up to since we last chatted with them, what's changed, and just once again shine a bit of a light on some of the people that we had in our earlier episodes, and get an idea for what has happened since.
That sounds really good. I look forward to seeing those episodes. Speaking, we mentioned cons earlier, and you had been to a few cons over the years. Are there any conventions coming up that people may be able to find you at if they wish to go gallivanting across the great wide world?
Well, I will be at BronyCon this year, so I got the tickets booked there for the final BronyCon, so I will be around there to see all the festivities and to explore Baltimore. I'm actually going with my partner and also one of my best friends. We're going over to Washington, D.C. first, though, because we want to do the Fallout 3 road trip tour and basically just see all the sights in Fallout 3 while singing 1940s songs. So that is on the radar. But also, last year I took over as the marketing exec for Brony Scott. So I did that last year. This year I've stepped back to being just a kind of general consultant. But I'll still be at Brony Scott this year in November, which is on November the 10th, I believe, in Glasgow. Tickets on sale now, by the way. Please get your tickets. And I'll be there for the festivities there, and at Rock Nessie on the following night. So yeah, it's I've got 1 or 2 conventions planned, and no doubt if I'm very lucky, I might get dragged away to another 1 or 2 yet. You never know.
Well, if I'm lucky, one day, eventually, I will be able to rock up at Brony Scott and surprise you and the rest of the Highland crew.
Well, you're always welcome to come our way. Like, doors always open.
It's just the financial issues behind it. I'm barely able to go to my own local conventions of Alicon.
Yeah, I mean, that's a shame the way that things have been working out for you. But I hope things turn around for you soon. I mean, God knows you deserve it.
Oh, that's high praise coming from you, Senpai. I mean,
Hey,
I've done
sincere.
bugger all for the last 3 years, so I'm not sure if deserve is the word I would use, but
Well,
knowing
put it
that
this
you
way,
think
right?
so.
Well, if it helps you in any way, right, in my real life job at the moment, it's safe to say I'm working with people who have worked there for far longer than either of us have been alive and are far more useless than either of us put together. So you know what? Don't be so harsh on yourself.
I will endeavour to be kinder to myself, good sir.
That's good. Keep a positive outlook. Things aren't bad entirely. It's the world may be slowly burning in a crap sack world, but at the same time there are things to enjoy.
I mean, we still got birds. Who doesn't like birds?
Exactly. We have birds. We've the sun
More
is
birds.
shining right now. More birds. Oh yeah, no, listen, more birds. No, there are good things. There's some good music that's come out this year. There's been a couple of great films. Video games. There's been some great re-releases and new titles that have been coming out. There is good out there. Whether it's entertainment, whether it's things that are going with family and friends. Creative endeavors, whatever it is, it's you've got to have a positive spin in it. If you were to focus on just the bad stuff or be down in the dumps, you never get anywhere. You got to keep your chin up.
Very, very true, good sir. Now, I believe we have run out of time, so I'd like to thank you very much for coming into the VIP room. I hope you've enjoyed your return visit.
Oh yeah, no, it's been an absolute blast. I'm still waiting for my pint though.
It's coming. It's around here somewhere. I'm sure of it. I promise that I didn't drink it while you weren't looking.
Listen, I trust you. I'm sure that there's a nice cold pint getting poured right now.
Yes, of course, absolutely. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, this has been the VIP room. I hope you've enjoyed your listen. Thanks again to Kyle McColl, aka Midnight Scribe, for coming in tonight. If you'd like to know more about him, or if you'd like to find out where he is on the internet, there'll be links to his various social medias in the description below, including his Twitter and YouTube. As always, if you'd like to support this channel, there is a Patreon and a community Discord, both linked in the description below. And until next time, cheers.